He's going to try to gain it here on second down.
Pressure coming. They set up a screen. Oh, there's a lot of room. Alvin Kamara, room to roll. Alvin Kamara's going to score. Touchdown.
Your middle fingers out through the air. Go on and say fuck you. I hate my job, all of my rich friends. I hate everyone to the bitter end. Nothing turns out right, there's no end in sight. I hate my life. So much at stake, can't catch a break. I hate my
After review, it has been determined that the receiver did not maintain. I thought we reached over the goal line. Why is that not a catch?
Howdy, one and all, to the first installment of Depressed in Dallas, a safe space for us Cowboys fans to be able to talk about just how much our team sucks and why until the Jones family sells, we will never win another Super Bowl in our lifetimes. I know, just hard-hitting statements right from the jump. So I am coming to y'all live right now. We are currently losing 41-19, a little bit under 11 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Dak just threw his second interception. The second interception was 1,000% on him. And yeah, we're not going to come back. So I figured I'd go ahead and get a head start on this pod. And again, the whole point in this podcast is to have a safe space for we Cowboys fans to talk about our feelings, because this doesn't feel good. And we're used to it not feeling good. But before we dive too deep into it, I do just want to shout out our sponsor, BetStamp. BetStamp is a one-for-all place that you can go to for all of your sports betting needs. They've got BetMGM. They've got Caesars. They got Bet365. They've got all the main providers for sports betting. And if you follow our link, which is, I'm trying to remember, signupexpert.com/fiasco. See, my brain's still on the game right now, so I almost slipped up. But yeah, you can go to signupexpert.com/fiasco. And if you place a $10 bet, a lot of these places are willing to give you your money back, so you might as well. Hopefully nobody made any bets on the Dallas Cowboys today, unless you were betting against them. Because if you were betting for us, you've probably lost all of your money. I could have been the first one to tell you not to bet on the Dallas Cowboys. Now, yeah, just high-level overview of why this game went wrong. It starts with the defense. I mean, we are still in the fourth quarter right now, plenty of game left to be played, and our defense has allowed 41 points, 35 in the first half. Honestly, if New Orleans wanted to, New Orleans probably could have dropped 70 on us in this game. They probably could have had the same amount of success. They've played a much more conservative game in the second half, and rightfully so. Whenever you're up by 3+ scores, you want to play things a little safe, because if you don't, you might accidentally lose, and we as Cowboys fans know exactly what that's like. But yeah, going into this game, this felt very, very similar to the Cardinals game week 2 of last year. Now, of course, this New Orleans team is better than that Cardinals team. I want to put some respect on New Orleans' name real quick, because they did the damn thing today. Alvin Kamara is still Alvin Kamara, okay? And no amount of arrest warrants are ever going to change that. Now, where we really fell off on defense is, man, we still can't stop the run. Alvin Kamara is Alvin Kamara. What is that? 4 total touchdowns today for Alvin? Let me see real fast. Got all the game notes up. This is going to be a very casual pod. We're just really here to talk shit and event. Alvin Kamara has 3 on the ground. And does he have 1 receiving? He does have 1 receiving. So yeah, 4 total touchdowns for Alvin Kamara. 3 on the ground. And same old, same old. We cannot set the edge. There was definitely some excitement last week against the Cleveland Browns because we actually saw, guys like DeMarvion Overshown setting the edge. And there was none of that today. None whatsoever. Could not set the edge to save our lives. And, the amount of, pitches to the outside, jet sweeps, even, I know that this isn't rushing, but, even your screenplays and such. If you're not getting guys on the outside and you allow athletes to catch the ball in space, what's going to happen? This is middle school football here. You always want to make sure that you have guys out in the flat in case stuff like that happens. And no one was there to be found anywhere. This is also a game going into it where the likes of Trayvon Diggs was talking some shit about Chris Olave. And just to recap, again, the game's not over, so it might even be higher than this. But right now, Chris Olave has 4 catches for 81 yards. He is averaging 20 yards a catch. Rashid Shaheed, 4 receptions, 96 yards, 24 for the average and a touchdown. Alvin Kamara, 2 for 65, averaging 32.5 yards per catch. Chunk plays, killing us right now. And this is exactly what happened last year whenever we played the Arizona Cardinals. We went into this game. Again, you saw the comments from Trayvon Diggs when they were asking, what kind of looks does Olave bring? And he kind of chuckles to himself. Says, is that a question? And the reporters are confused because Chris Olave is a player, okay? He's not just some dude. He's a good player. And Trayvon follows it up with, yeah, he a good player. That's what he said. He a good player. And that was it. And, I'm not going to lie. As a Cowboys fan, I eat that shit up when we win, And considering just how much it was, these guys felt confident going into the game. They felt like it wasn't going to be a problem. They didn't feel, any need to really change the game plan. Bro, we got smoked. And, well, I can't say in all 3 phases of the game because special teams did fine. Shout out Brandon Aubrey for, being the best player on the team. But as far as offense and defense, we got smoked. There has been nothing but constant pressure on Dak. Dak's been getting smacked. That first interception sure wasn't his fault because, threw the ball, and if Jalen Brooks doesn't fall down on the route, it probably hits him in the chest and everything's all peachy keen. Second interception solely falls on Dak. I don't know who he was looking at for that. But yeah, a couple of things that we have learned about this team. This offense cannot win games when they are behind. And we knew that kind of going into the season because our run game is atrocious. Zeke is too slow, can't average 4 yards a carry. Deuce Vaughn, too small, isn't strong enough, can't average 4 yards a carry. Rico Dowdle, honestly, was Rico Dowdle hurt? Because I don't even think that I saw his name called at any point. Okay, forgive me. Rico Dowdle, 7 carries, 30 yards, 4.3 yards per carry. But, Zeke averaging 2.7, Deuce Vaughn averaging 2.8. Cavante had a 2-yard run. Brandon Cooks had a negative 3-yard run. And while I was watching this, Dak almost threw another interception. This team cannot play from behind. The audacity of Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones to act like we weren't going to give CD his money when CD is the only guy on this offense who has done anything today. And really, aside from the one big catch, really hasn't done much. 4 for 90, Tolbert's actually had a decent game. I didn't realize that. But yeah, atrocious performance. The fact that the Joneses weren't going to give CD his money is laughable. When CD is the only reason why it at least felt like we had hope in the first half. But all that hope went out the window. So this team can't play from behind because we don't have any type of offensive balance. And, we have talked about before making the offense Dak friendly. And I hate that term because it's so damning to Dak when it's like, unless you're Patrick Mahomes, every offense needs a blank quarterback's name friendly offense. Today was all about a Derek Carr friendly offense because Alvin Kamara was doing his damn thing. So, last I checked, he had only thrown like 15, 16 passes. Derek Carr did. 11 to 16, 243 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, which wasn't a great ball, but Chris Olave probably still should have came down with it. 11 to 16 for 243, dog. That is disgusting. And don't get me wrong, Derek Carr's a good quarterback. Just like Dak's a good quarterback. But it makes a world of difference whenever defenses are actively having to scheme against your running back. Nobody's actively scheming against Ezekiel Elliott. Nobody's actively scheming against Rico Dowdle, against Deuce Vaughn. Heck, even whenever we had Tony Pollard, which, he would be a huge upgrade, it's still not the same. And look, I get that we have 2 rookie offensive linemen, and I'm not necessarily blaming this entire loss, at least on the offense, but we are so one-dimensional, it's painful. It is, okay, we run on first, see if we can get 3 yards, see if we can complete a short pass on second to set up a 3rd and 5. 3rd and 5 is the moneymaker, right? No. You need big chunk plays at the end of the day. The idea that every drive you're going to have a, 12, 13, 14 play drive that's going to eat up 8 minutes of clock, that doesn't happen in the NFL. You can do that in college to some degree if you're a powerhouse team. You cannot do that in the NFL. Because eventually there will be a play where there's holding, there's an offsides penalty, you get a bad ball thrown by the quarterback. It just comes out of his hands a little funny, a little low. Receiver can't get to it. Your running back gets stuffed in the backfield, for a 2-3 yard loss. Then all of a sudden, this perfect drive where you keep relying on these 3 to 5 yard plays comes to a screeching halt, and it's 3rd and 12. And I'm sorry, but on 3rd and 12, if I'm the defense, I know where the ball's going. It's going to 88. So I'm just going to put 2 people on him. Because, as much as I do love me some Brandon Cooks, he's getting older. He's getting up there in age. He doesn't get the same kind of separation that he used to. He doesn't get the same type of yak that he used to. And so he's not much of a threat. And, with Ferguson being out, that's really the only other threat that you have on offense. I'm surprised that Jalen Tolbert, that has been a very quiet 80-something yard game that he's had, a 82-yard game that he's had. I don't even remember him catching anything that would warrant that much. So, maybe I missed one of his best plays while I was talking to my parents at halftime. But yeah, Tolbert's not the answer. Tolbert, again, even with this has to be the quietest 82-yard game I've seen from him. And I'm glad that he's at least doing something out there. Because I've seen him, how many games have we seen him have like 15 yards or less on like 2 catches? But he's not a threat. Brandon Cooks, isn't Brandon Cooks from 3-4 years ago. Brandon Cooks is not a threat. He's a consistent veteran that you appreciate having on your team, but he should be wide receiver 3 instead of wide receiver 2. Ferguson is out. And even whenever Ferguson is healthy, and I do love me some Ferg. Y'all know I've been saying going into the season that I think that Fergie is going to go for 1,000+ yards this year. I really do. But he's not a big play guy. He's not an explosive, I'm going to break off this 45-yard, play and really make you feel it. He's good for, 12 to 15 yards at a time on some longer throws, 5 to 6 for some check downs. He makes good plays for his size. He's an incredible athlete. But, if you're wanting your tight end to be wide receiver 2, unless you are blessed with, a young Travis Kelce, not even Travis Kelce now, they are not the same player. Same with Kittle, a young Kittle, sure. Kittle now, no. A young Mark Andrews, maybe not now. I will say Isaiah Likely. I don't know if Baltimore's playing right now as I'm making this pod, but what I saw last week, Isaiah Likely might end up being that dude. But yeah, it's hard for your tight end to be a true wide receiver 2 or even a wide receiver 1 in an offense unless you have a generational talent. The guys that I listed off, even as much as I love Mark Andrews, I probably wouldn't put him in the generational category. Kittle and Kelce, probably the closest to generational talents at tight end that we've seen. And they're definitely on the decline. They are not who they used to be. So yeah, we have 0 offensive firepower. And we have no sense of run game. I think that Dak is a good enough quarterback that if you have a running game, he does phenomenally. I mean, if you think about his best years as a Cowboy was in Zeke's prime, with the exception of last year. He was just on a tear last year, had something to prove. We also had kind of a cupcake schedule. I ain't even gonna lie about that because we didn't do great against most of the winning teams. Really beat up on a lot of the bad teams. But Dak's best years have been whenever we have had a good running game. Our running game is atrocious. I mean, I just went through the yards per carry that these guys had. Zeke with 2.7, Deuce Vaughn with 2.8. Rico Dowdle, had 4.3, but unless one of those, I'm sure part of that average, there had to have been a 10+ yard gain that I just didn't catch. So offense is one-dimensional. This all to say, all this bitching and moaning that I've been doing is to say that unless we can figure, we probably need to start looking at some trade targets here, but we've got to have a better running game if we want any chance of making any noise this season. Now, with the fact that I'm now looking at a score that's 44-19 instead of 41-19, defense. Out the jump, defense was horrific today. I beat up on the offense for sure, but we got to talk about defense real quick, okay? Our secondary looked so lost. The amount of big chunk plays that we gave up in the second. I mean, again, I was going over yards per catch from New Orleans. Rashid Shaheed, 24 yards per catch. 24. Chris Olave, 20.3. So over 20 yards per catch for Chris Olave. Alvin Kamara, 2 for 65, 32.5. Okay. Garbage. Secondary was piss poor in every degree. Every degree. Bro, I'm looking over at the sidelines and Derek Carr is just joking around, having a great time, just looking like he, shoot, who is number 94 on their team? I'm spacing. He has a captain tag on his shirt, so I should probably know that name. But he's out there with one of their best defenders on the sideline because, at this point, they don't need their starting quarterback in on the game, even though they're on offense. So he's just chilling out with defensive players, being like, hey, I appreciate y'all. Y'all made my life easy this week. Piss poor performance from our defense. Bro, Micah Parsons nowhere to be found. Man, he does all this podcasting, doing what I'm doing right now, does all this podcasting, and then disappears in big games. He was talking about in his most recent pod, as a matter of fact, about how he's excited to be a Cowboy for life because he knows he's going to get paid. And he probably is going to get paid, but you know what? I'm good, honestly. I am so sick and tired of how much he talks and how little the results carry in games that matter. Because is he a phenomenal athlete? Yes. Is he a phenomenal talent? Yes. Does he have potential to be a generational star? Of course. It's there. But he keeps getting in his own way. He wants to be a dog so bad. But he's one of those dogs at the dog park that bullies all the little dogs. But once a big dog comes rolling through, it's real quiet. We saw it in the playoff game against the Packers. Nowhere to be found. We've seen it in playoff games against the 49ers. Nowhere to be found. Today, against New Orleans team that had issues with their offensive line between injuries, and I think that they have a rookie on their offensive line right now, too. Nowhere to be found. Last week, our defensive line beat up on a beat-up Browns offensive line. Thought we would get the same result this week, but we didn't. People definitely overreacted last week saying, oh, Mike Zimmer's the answer. Oh, we'll see. I'm not going to just, it's Mike Zimmer's second game being the Cowboys DC. But I wasn't going to overreact after last week. What I've been telling people and what I will continue to tell people is this team, regardless, as much as I've been bitching and moaning, is still going to somehow win 11, 12 games. I mean, you get 2 guaranteed against the Commanders. You get 2 guaranteed against the Giants. And you'll probably split with the Eagles. That's 5 there, and we've already won 1. That's 6. There are going to be other bad teams that we play that we're going to beat up on. We'll sneak in a game against a good team at some point. We'll figure out a bullshit way to beat, the Lions or something, or, finally get our revenge against San Fran, maybe. And, we'll get a game there. But, this team will make the playoffs, but they won't win anything meaningful. And so what I've been telling folks is I'm just going to enjoy the regular season. Mike McCarthy will make sure that we win our 11, 12 games in the regular season. We're such regular season merchants. I'm just going to enjoy the regular season for what it is, because by that point, it'll take me to basketball season. And y'all know I'm a big Dallas Mavericks fan, and at least I have a team that I can cheer for that actually does something when it matters most, So, yeah, I just got to wait for this game to be over. It looks like they're finally taking a couple of knees here, finally letting that clock bleed out a little bit. But, yeah, I'm just going to enjoy the regular season for what it is, and that's okay. That's it. It is okay to enjoy the regular season. Obviously, moments like these suck, where we just got whooped at home by a New Orleans team that we're better than, on paper, at least. But, Mike McCarthy will make sure that we get our 11, 12 wins. He'll make sure that we get into the playoffs, and then we will crumble, as we always do, because Micah Parsons won't show up. Trayvon Diggs will be talking shit about their best receiver, whoever it is that we're matched up with the week before, and then we'll proceed to get torched. Dak will throw multiple picks. Ezekiel Elliott will average less than 3 yards per carry. Deuce Vaughn will average less than 3 yards per carry. And it will be CD and CD Lamb only. And so yeah, that's pretty much today's rant. Again, this is Depressed in Dallas, your go-to podcast if you need a safe space to be able to vent. And I plan on doing this after every Dallas loss. And who knows? Maybe I will open up a Twitter space and let some other people complain. But yeah, for right now, I'm discouraged. Y'all should be too. This team will be fine as far as the regular season is concerned, but we don't have the run game needed. We don't have weapons aside from CeeDee Lamb needed. We don't have the defensive tenacity because we have the defensive personnel. We don't have the defensive tenacity in order to win the games that matter most. And we have a bunch of guys who can't get their heads out of their ass. And that's how it's been for a long time. Because in the Cowboys world and in the culture that Jerry Jones has put together, it's all about the personal brand. It's all about the podcasting. It's all about the shoes. It's all about being the most paid in your position. It's all about the personal brand. It's not actually about winning. And until it actually becomes about winning, we will be in this perpetual cycle where we get super excited during the regular season. I mean, I saw what some of y'all were saying after our win against the Browns. I had to talk some family members down. I was like, hey, it's a good win. Enjoy the high, always ride the high of a win. But don't let it fool you. This Dallas team is exactly who this Dallas team has always been. So, thank you all for listening. My name is Jordan Pryor. This has been Depressed in Dallas. Again, go check out our sponsor, BetStamp. BetStamp is your one-stop shop for all things betting. They've got all kinds of bookies you can choose from BetMGM, Caesars, Bet365, so on and so forth. I mean, I don't have the list in front of me, but basically any major betting platform, they have them. So you can go to signupexpert.com/fiasco, place a $10 bet, and maybe in the future you'll be smart and you won't bet for the Cowboys, you'll bet against them. But again, it's been Depressed in Dallas, and we are majorly depressed. See y'all.
We've been here less than a week, and I feel
like it's a year. I hate it here.